Shalom, one of self souls, but give no praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Kakadash, double honors, apostle, great, most and honors, you brothers doing the work, the most in truth and in sincerity. Yahweh is the real name of whom the word ignorantly calls God, Jehovah. Yahweh, his real name is Yahweh. The son's true name is Yahweh Shai, and only pray Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, but meaning in, meaning done, Sham, meaning names Yahweh, the name of Yahweh Shai. This is a quick one. Basically, it's a clip that different conservative commentators have, been responding to. Actually, you can see the. No, in fact, let me pause that before YouTube does what it does, right? But you can see here they basically got this, Down syndrome baby, holding a Barbie doll, right? And this is what it says. This is from Matt Walsh blog. It says, I know some conservatives are calling this woke, but I don't see it that way. Right? It's pro-life, right? The left is exterminating Down syndrome children, right? And that is actually exactly what they do, right? So when you come over here, it says Sky News legislation which allows abortion of babies with Down syndromes up until birth upheld by Court of Appeal. Right, and this was just in this November gone, 25th of November 2022, right? And yeah, man, that's just straight wickedness, man, because as you can see, these two, yeah, the Lord has cursed them, right? But if you look at this here, right, you see Heidi Crowther with her husband James Carter, right? So here it is, yeah, once again, yeah, the Lord has cursed them, whatever, what have you. But guess what? You still reached a certain age, you're still able to find someone, or you're still able to, reproduce, whatever, you know. But I mean, you see what should I say? I'm very upset that babies with Down syndrome can be aborted up to birth. This tells me that I am not valued and of much less value than a person without Down syndrome, right? It says in England, Wales, and Scotland, there's a 24 time limit on having an abortion. Laws allow termination up until birth if there's a substantial risk that if the child were born, it would suffer from such physical or mental abnormalities as to be seriously handicapped, which includes Down syndromes, right? Which, the law don't care for that. I'm gonna get a few examples. This is it as well, because here it is, the Lord, right, has the power to heal, right? But because this world is so, it's a godless world that we live in, right? And there's accounts in the scriptures where men were lame from birth or blind, and then the Lord came and he healed them, right? But in Esau's world, it's about, but you might die, or the persons might die. And a lot of the time, it's a thing of like, yeah, but your life will be impacted, your life will become harder, right? And that's wickedness, man. That just ain't right. Okay, and Esau's gonna have to pay for that. All of these unrighteous decrees, Esau's gonna have to pay for them. As Isaiah 10:1 says, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that write grievousness which they have prescribed, to turn aside the needy from judgment, and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless. Right? So when you see laws like this, right, the fact that we even if I go to work on Tuesday, when I'm like, look, man, I ain't I ain't down with abortion, I'm anti-abortion, right? They gonna look at me sideways. There's a very real chance that I'm gonna be brought up on a, maybe not disciplinary, but I'm gonna be brought in. Someone's gonna pull me to the side and be like, look, man, I don't think you should say that, right? Right, because this man has decreed these unrighteous decrees, and that this earth has basically been flipped upside down. Just grab that real quick also, right? Isaiah 29:16, surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. And why has this been a turning of upside down? Right, because when you look in the ancient world, right, you had basically women would yearn. Is that how I spell her name? I know it's in Samuel. I'm just going to Samuel. It's like, yeah, right. Okay, it's two N's her name. Yeah. When you look at the women of the ancient world, when they didn't have children, right, they were hurt. They were like, yo, look, man, give me children, man. right? Oh wait, no, it's the same one. That's the one I'm actually at. I also wanted to yeah, because even Sarah, would you call it? Was getting on Abraham's nerves, right? This is Genesis 16:1. It says, "Now Sarah, Abraham's wife, bare him no children. She had a handmaid, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar. And Sarah said unto Abraham, Behold, now Yahweh hath restrained me from bearing. I pray thee, go in unto my maid. It may be that I may obtain children by her." And Abraham hearkened to the voice of Sarai. Abraham took and Sarai, Abraham's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, after Abraham had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband Abraham to be his wife, right? And even that was a thing that women in the ancient world would do, right? Um, and I always wanted just to say, verse 5, jump to verse 5. As in Sarai said unto Abram, My wrong be upon thee. I have given my maid into thy bosom. And when she saw that she had conceived, I was despised in her eyes. Yahweh judge between me and thee. But Abram said unto Sarai, Behold, thy maid is in thy hand. Do to her as it pleaseth thee. And when Sarah dealt hardly with her, she fled from her face. And always remember the apostles breaking it down like, yo, Sarah, must have been getting on her hard for a woman in those times to, to flee, right, into, into the wilderness like that, right? Um, uh, uh, that means Sarah must have been getting on her hard, right? But this is an example, and I'm gonna get another example in First Samuel's as well. Um, I'm just gonna jump to the point. Where is the point? So, let me read into it real quick. First Samuel 1 and 2 says, And he had two wives. The name of the one was Hannah, and the name of the other Peninnah. And Peninnah had children, but Hannah had no children. And this man went up out of the city yearly to worship, to sacrifice to the Lord, and unto Yahweh of hosts in Shiloh. And the two sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, the priests of Yahweh, were there. Jump down to verse 7. Verse 6 says, And her adversary also provoked her sore for to make her fret, because Yahweh had shut up her womb. Yeah, womb, like, oh yeah, you can't have kids. Teasing. Like, how back in school, when you didn't have the latest pair of trainers, people tease you. Or you ain't got the new Air Maxes, right? You get teased, right? That's what it was like. Oh, you can't have kids, right? But look how different that is now. Look how much that has been turned upside down in today's world. Okay. It says, therefore she wept and did eat. Then said Elkanah her husband to her, Hannah, why weepest thou? And why eatest thou not? And why is thy heart grieved? Am I not better to thee than 10 sons? Right? And then as you read into the story, Hannah eventually ends up, being the mother of Samuel. Okay. So, that was all set up in the spirit, right? But going back to this point here, right? It says the left is exterminating Down syndrome children, and it showed you the law over here in the UK, right? The fact that it's just deemed as normal, man, right? But once again, we're gonna get a few examples of when the Lord, healed, people with ailments, right? I'm gonna look at the palsy, right? Because for instance, you got I'm not entirely, I'm not 100%. Because when you look into the word here, palsy, right, just goes into like paralytic, right, suffering from the relaxing of the nerves of one side, disabled, weak of limb, right. So paralytic, so someone who's not able to walk. You think about people in who've got cerebral palsy, for example, right, where they're I think what's his face, that bloody devil had cerebral palsy. No, or maybe he had MS. I think he had MS. I was thinking of I can't think of his name at the moment. It's not important. The robot voice scientist guy, right? Says they are the victims of an actual eugenics campaign, right? Because imagine this was anything else, right? Imagine, oh, if you've got a black baby, you can abort it, which effectively that's what they do, right, to Jake, right? That's why in New York more Jake children are aborted than are born, right? So this is one case where representation actually is important, right? So obviously Mattel didn't intend for this to be pro-life, but we should embrace it that way. Take a cultural win, even if it wasn't supposed to be a cultural win for us, right? Um, you see this. I mean, it's funny. You got that bloody Amalekite bitch as his profile, right? Just thank God I'm not pro-life, right? Um, but it is what it is, man. So first and foremost, we're going to get what the law says, right? Exodus 21:22. If men strive and hurt a woman with child, so that her fruit depart from her, and yet no mischief follow, he shall surely be punished according as the woman's husband will lay upon him, and he shall pay as the judges determine, right? And if any mischief follows, basically, if you imagine a situation where like you got two men are fighting, right, and the woman gets in the way, and then let's say you accidentally punch the woman, right? And basically something happens, right? Then there is a then there is a penalty, right? So it says, "Then if any mischief follow, then thou shalt give life for life." So if the child in the womb dies, right, then guess what? You're gonna have to die. Why? Because the Most High counts that as a life, right? So the very fact that we live in a world where children are just killed in the womb like it's nothing, like it's actually nothing, right? And that's one. And people ask us, why we want this place to go down. That in on its own is reason enough, okay? And the fact that you call it out and then you get you it's like you calling it out. You're the one who gets called a demon, right? This is Matthew 9. And he entered into a ship and passed over and came into his own city. And behold, they brought to him a man sick of the palsy, lying on a bed. Yahushua, seeing their faith, said unto the sick of the palsy, Son, be of good cheer, right? Thy sins be forgiven thee, right? And that's it, because ultimately, why do we have these different ailments and sicknesses and this, that, and the other? They're just demons, that are that are on us for our own wickedness, right? Mark 7:9. I'll bear the indignation of the Lord, for I've sinned against him, right? But this is an example, right? In the Lord, just saw a man sick of the palsy. He was like, all right, man, cool, you be healed. That's good, right? And that was it. That was the end of that, right? Let's also get this one real quick. This is Acts 3. And once, and now Peter and John went out together into the temple at the hour of prayer, being the ninth hour. And a certain man lame from his mother's womb was carried, right? And this once again in Esau's world is a thing of like, if a child is messed up, right? Then it's all about, oh yeah, but what about the parents' love? Which ultimately that's a curse. I see it certain times. You get them parents, right? Their child is legit immobile, isn't able to do anything. Like they have their whole house is, they've got like little like cranes, if you will, like moving systems in their house because the child legit can't move on their own, right? And yeah, that is a punishment to the parents as well, because they've actually got to look after that child. However, that's just the way it is, right? That doesn't then give you license to kill that child, right? People will also give the example of, oh yeah, but the mother's life, this, that, and the other. But hey, Rachel died. Okay, Rachel died giving birth to Benjamin. So carrying on, so it says, and a certain man lame from his mother's womb was carried, whom they laid daily at the gate of the temple, which is called Beautiful, to ask alms of them that entered into the temple, right? Who seeing Peter and John again go into the temple asked an alms, and Peter fastening his eyes upon him with John said, Look on us. And he gave heed unto them, expecting to receive something of them, right? And that's it, right? He just thought, they might give you some money, this, that, and the other. But the Spirit led Peter and John, right, to look on this man, right? Then Peter said, Look, man, hey, silver and gold, I have none, right? but such as I have give I thee, right? And when once again, the topic of charity, was in conversation last week, right? One of the things that was was mentioned is the fact that charity extends far beyond the financials, right? At the end of the day, we give what we can give, right? In this particular instance, Peter was saying, look, I can't give you no cash, right? But the Lord has bestowed onto me the what do you call it, the ability to heal you, right? Therefore, and I'm gonna read it, right? It says, in the name of Yahweh Shah Mashiach of Nazareth, right? Rise up and walk, right? And he took him right by the hand and lifted him up, and immediately his feet and ankle bones received strength, right? And the reason for that, in fact, let me pull it open in another tab real quick. I'll bring it down, right? Get some images up in this cut. Yeah, we got, that's a great one. Move to another tab. Bish bash bosh, right? Muscle atrophy. When you ain't used your legs for a while, that's what happened. And you see it in people in like wheelchairs and stuff like that, right? Because why? Because their muscles ain't been used, right? And those people end up having to go into rehab and all of that sort of stuff. Why? Because they basically need to learn to walk. So even if you're in a coma for, let's say, a month, 2 months, 3 months, right? I don't know how long it takes, but you actually have to relearn how to walk again, right? But so imagine someone who's never walked, period, right? But the spirit was with it, such that the muscles, right, got strengthened, bones got strengthened, and then he knew he was programmed in the moment to know how to walk. Now try Esau do that. He's going to plug up your brain with bloody electrodes and shit, right, to try and achieve the same thing, right? But this was literally just spoken, and then it was so through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shai. Right, verse 8, and he leaping up stood and walked and entered with them into the temple, walking and leaping and praising the Most High. And then last one, this is Acts 4 and 24, right? It says, and his fame went throughout all Syria, and they brought him unto all sick people that were taken with diverse diseases and torments, right? Now, is this not a diverse disease and torment, right? And I'm just talking. Yeah, I know that so-called white people aren't know legit, but you get the point that we're trying to make here, right? It says unto him all sick people that were taken with diverse diseases and torments, and those which were possessed with devils, and those which were lunatic, and those had the palsy, and healed them, right? And that's it. The Lord has power to heal. Hey, he look at Lazarus, man. Brought him back from the dead. I believe it was his sister. His sister said, "Look, man, he's been in there for a minute. He stinketh," right? But that's it. The Lord has power over all of that, right? So for there to just straight up be laws where you can just, because they use fancy words, right? Right? Abortion, fetus, right? But what is it actually, right? It's murder of a child, right? Whether you like it or not, that's how the Most High sees it, right? So it was always laws, all those was edified. Until next time we say, Shalom.